Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another CryptoManiacs podcast. I have to apologize for my incredible audio and visual extravaganza today. I have no internet. I'm in the middle of West Bubble, Alberta. Have you heard of that place, Task? It's a fascinating spot.
It's not on my map. Is that next to in the Sticksville?
In the Sticksville, yeah. No internet, and it's funny because I made this post yesterday about it. I I went to the one of the biggest cell providers in Canada and said, went looked on their map and it said it had 5G where I was at, and I was going to have perfect service. It was blanket coverage. I had 3G at my house. So you know what that means? That means basically I can get on America Online speeds. So yeah, CompuServe speeds, Prodigy Net speeds.
You're naming some of the internet classic companies, CompuServe and AOL and Prodigy. I remember
Prodigy,
Prodigy.
yeah.
I
I'm
had a
showing. I'm
roommate in
showing.
college who would get on that each morning, and
Showing
I
my
was
age,
drinking.
man.
He was one of those college students who was up at like 7:30 or 8, and let's say I wasn't quite coming in at that time, but not too much earlier. And he'd get on, and you get the screeching of the dial up. And when you're after 18 beers or something like that, and a few shots, all of a sudden you hear that screeching next to your head.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So we got some questions. Apologies again. This is very impromptu, but it shows my dedication. It shows, if anything, my dedication, or or I'm just Task is. I don't know what Task is doing. Look at that. That's impressive.
Trying to get my computer. I don't know. It's kind of funky here. Well, we're both having issues today. This is is it the 13th, Friday the 13th? I mean, is there going to be somebody behind me with a machete?
I'm enjoying my Starbucks.
Yeah, I haven't
Uh,
drank in 25 years, but I may put some vodka or cream to mint in my coffee with
yeah.
a day off.
Oh, if we get through this, it'll be a miracle.
Yeah, no, my luck. Fucking Jay Fang will ask about Splinterlands.
Oh wow, here. Let me just get this. This doesn't look very promising, but there we go. That's better. Okay, cool. So I figured we'd probably have a few questions about bear markets and crypto going to hell in a handbasket. So that'll be fun. Even Celsius. I even said let's talk about Celsius. So you excited for the questions or what? You excited for the bear market Task?
There's a bear market?
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
an
actually, John, we'll take this as question number one.
Okay.
Uh, the bear market is wonderful. It is so reminiscent. And Mark Andreessen, I saw a video with him, and he said for the first time in his life, he actually
Yeah.
compared something to the internet. I mean, Mark Andreessen, for those who don't know, Andreessen Horowitz is one of the leading Silicon VC firms out there. This guy has funded, most household name internet companies at one time or another. And he also, I think his actual first project was Netscape, if I'm not mistaken. But it was one of those
Mm,
early internet projects. And
right.
so he was there for the original protocol design and the origins of the internet as we, know it today, or at least what we knew to be Web 1. And he says that cryptocurrency and Web 3 is the first time in 25 years he's made the analogy to the internet.
Mm,
And I've made the analogy over the years. And this bear market is very reminiscent of the dot-com bubble, where a lot of the excess got cleared out, a lot of the bullshit was cleared out, a lot of the irrational exuberance was cleared out. And that's not to say the progression of the internet stopped. And this is not going to stop Web3. This is not going to stop cryptocurrency. This is not going to stop blockchain. We are going to see Amazon. We are going to see Google. We are going to see Netflix, Priceline. We're going to see them emerge out of this. We just had to get rid of the web vans and the overpriced Yahoos and all that other shit.
The pets.com. Right?
Pets.com, exactly. The Ash Jeeves had to go by the wayside. We had to get rid of them. And,
Right.
UST, Luna, maybe Coinbase, maybe Celsius. I mean, all of these, it, if you don't have the resiliency, well, you got to go bye bye.
Yep. It's funny because we're used to this, you know. I mean, we always say that Hive was built in a bear market. I mean, people losing their mind. I'm just sitting here going, yeah, this is the time to get even more active. You know, it's so nah. Oh well. I'm gonna mute myself if the guys start doing the espresso machines up here or whatever, the cappuccino frothers or whatever they got going here. Um,
I would say cappuccino and espresso are two majorly different coffees.
Yes, I'm
From
showing my
totally different areas of the world. So, is it an espresso machine or is it a cappuccino machine?
I'm showing my coffee ignorance, man. Please don't, the coffee bugs don't kill me, especially sitting in a Starbucks. Right, this is where all the proper people are. You know. Anyways,
You ever have just to tangent into
yeah,
your coffee realm? You ever have Cuban coffee?
I have my favorite coffee though is Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee,
I
and
had when I lived in the Keys. I had Cuban coffee that was Americanized
mm,
because they watered
strong.
it down with milk, so us Americans can drink it. And I think you could still use it to peel paint. I could not imagine it in pure form where it would be like drinking turpentine.
So it's not like the coffee that I don't know. Like it's here. We'll talk about coffee for a second. Um, I don't know what it is that they do on like the highway service centers in America, but the coffee that they serve in the gas stations and the service centers on the side of the highway is the worst thing on the planet. Like it's
Well, that's
so
because
bad,
it sits there for about 6 hours.
dude. It's so bad. Yes, boom me. I'm in Starbucks enjoying it. Long story. My internet doesn't work, and I'm here. So you're gonna have to, and I've got like this cheapy like $7 Walmart special headset going on. So I'm holding the one, I'm holding my finger here so I can hear Task because it's the only way I can hear you. So if I look like I'm like trying to shoot myself here, no, it's because I'm trying to hold the speaker to my ear. Okay, here we
Well,
go.
that's $7 Canadian, which American USD is like 99 cents. So John bought it at the dollar store.
Yes. It was pretty bad. It didn't even have a brand on it. That's how ghetto it was. It didn't even have a brand. It was just a white packaging that said microphone headset. Okay. Yeah. Hey, don't say I'm not dedicated, man. Like this is I had to drive 10 miles, 15 miles from where I'm staying to come to the Starbucks. So
Hey, I don't doubt you. $7 headset, 350 for a coffee, and then it probably costs you $22 each total in gas
yeah.
by all said and done. This show is going to cost you about $40.
And I'm only gonna get like $5 in upvotes. Like, jeez. Killing me. Okay, let's dive into the questions.
Okay, now's a good time. Please, everybody use Brian of London's app to stream Satoshis for
Yes.
John so he can somewhat break even on this
So
call.
I can pay for my headset.
So he can pay for his 99 cent headset. Everybody, please send him some Satoshis. 5,000 Satoshis at a time, and he'll be even after about 10 hours. We'll do this like a telethon. It'll be like a Jerry Lewis Muscular Dystrophy or PBS telethon. The CryptoManiac telethon. We'll be on the air for 22 hours straight.
I'm going to start a GoFundMe for my headset. So,
You better watch out. Trudeau will take all the money.
Dude, I got my heavy duty headset here with me, but I also got my heavy duty like microphone. But I wasn't gonna set it up in the Starbucks. Like I'm just like totally weird. Like I've already told there was a nice young lady here that I said I'm not gonna bother you, am I? And she's like, no, you know what? You should probably have the corner because that's where I would want to be if I was doing this. So I'm trying not to be too, not trying to piss too many people off. So I'm sitting in my little corner. I'm good. So let's see how this goes. Lisa's up. I read the article from Taskmaster about property rights and generating wealth that made me think about things like art being auctioned off and the concerns with provenance. There you go. I am guessing that having on blockchain would make it easier for auction houses to know whether the pieces they're auctioning is legitimately owned or it's been stolen. But could you do that with physical pieces of art? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, there's already blockchains being used. I think Walmart is one that's implementing blockchain. Okay, it's not decentralized, it's not a public permissionless blockchain, but they're using blockchain technology for their supply chains.
Right.
So, yes, you could do it. In fact, I think high end manufacturers like Christian Dior and for handbags and things of that nature, high end fashion items. There's a huge market for counterfeiting. And
Right.
so what they're doing is they are using blockchain uh, for authenticity. So certainly, I would say, anything that is in physical form, you could construct a digital counterpart. Uh, let's say, for lack of a better word, an NFT, which is exactly what it would be. It would be unique. So you could create a token that represents that. Uh, Piece of art. You could have tied to the NFT in the smart contract. It could, have a serial number. It could have some type of marking of authenticity, whatever it is. And then, of course, you can just have that NFT on Ethereum or Polygon or whatever blockchain, and the moving around of that token represents ownership. So if I'm at an art gallery and I'm selling this piece, for it to go on auction, I have to send the NFT to the gallery so they know they have it. So I don't see any reason why ultimately you can't see real world assets tied to this, especially since I believe we're going to have a lot of stuff with digital representations online anyway.
Well, I
Digital.
mean, my example is always the real estate. I know you guys in the States, you got to be an accredited investor, whatever the hell that means these days. Um, but realty.co is a company I've been dealing with for almost 2 years now, where I own little pieces of property around America, and it's an NFT. They've basically tokenized the piece of property, and you buy little shares, little chunks of the property, and you own it, and you get paid the rent. So it's everything can be NFT'd and put on a blockchain. I see a future where all this stuff is going to be there. So
My example is I go to the robo taxi and say, okay, if somebody goes out and buys a Tesla when they have this robo taxi technology, why can't they turn around and say, okay, we got a $50,000 we have in this or whatever the number is, and they go out and tokenize it and sell, whatever they want. Let's say $25,000 in tokens in the taxi. They get $25,000 cash back. And then whatever the taxi generates, they get 50%, and 50% goes to the token holders, you know. And then you can invest in 100 robo taxis in 100 different cities if you want, pieces of each.
I like it. Good question, though, Lisa. Appreciate it. DevPress is up. Says, I wanted to ask this question. What if this market remains down like this until December? Highly unlikely. That's what he said. Who knows? But do you think this could happen? Do you think Hive will get affected? And what will be done if that's the case? Also, what do you think is a good plan for the next few months with crypto going through the ups and downs? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I don't know. Task, what are you going to do?
Yeah, the last question first. I think John and I have the same answer. John can let me know if I'm wrong on this. We'll do probably the same thing we've done the last 4+ years. show up and do what we do each week. I mean,
Yeah.
am I right, John? Is that the answer? Uh-oh.
It's a bunch of noise going on in the background. I'm trying to mute myself.
I don't know if he's laughing at what I said or if he's laughing about the noise, but anyway, John's just
Yeah,
having a gay old
no.
time on his own there.
I said this is how dedicated I am. I'm going to go, and what I'm going to do next week is hopefully I'll have better internet. But if not, I'll be back at Starbucks because I'm going to show up every day.
Yeah, I mean
So
that's what we do. Now, in terms of the market, I did write a piece about this this past week. I don't usually write on the markets, but what we're doing with the markets right now, this idea that crypto is a safe haven. If anybody believes that, you believe in Santa Claus. Crypto is risk on, risk off, and it's risk on, risk off to the degree it's mirroring high PE, high tech stocks, mega tech stocks. So that means when risk goes off, i.e., people get more conservative, they think there's bad stuff happening, it's going to get killed. It's going to get crushed. And when risk goes back on, then you have the situation where it'll advance. The problem we have right now is we've been in a major liquidity crisis with the US dollar and with collateral. And I've written extensively about this. You also have the Fed tightening, which that doesn't directly create collateral because Fed doesn't print up dollars, they print up reserves. But that's what does some stuff in the in the repo market, and more importantly, it manifests in terms of expectations. That coupled with increasing in interest rates, you have the situation where risk off looks like it's going to be par for the course at least through the summer into the fall, and it could go through the end of this year. So what Deb Press said, that this bear market could go through the rest of 2022, is not outlandish. I would say you probably want to be positioning yourself. This is not financial advice, but positioning yourself for a risk on move towards the end of the year. We may not get it full tilt till the second quarter of next year, but my view is the Fed is going to have to think real hard about raising interest rates in their September meeting, because I think the data will be such that it's not going to be a no-brainer. And whether they do or they don't, at some point not long after that, they'll probably decide to reverse course. But the Fed being what they are, they always foreshadow. And so even if they decide in November that they're going to start to lower interest rates or they're going to stop selling the balance sheet, they're not going to actually start doing that till February. That's why I say the actual move could take place in the second quarter. But if you start positioning yourself towards the end of the year, you might be okay. But for now, tread very lightly. I don't know if we're near any bottom. And one thing about bear markets, there's a lot of dead cat bounces. So, everybody's itching to look for the bull. And that's where bear markets get you, because all of a sudden the market will run for 3 weeks or a month and everybody say, hey, the bear's alive and well. And next thing you know, it's just another leg down.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I think dollar cost averaging is so important. Again, not financial advice, but it's like nothing really changes. You take the emotion out of it. For me, and I mean that's investing. But like the second part of that question there, where it's like, what are you going to be doing going forward? This is why it's so important to stay the course. Don't dollar cost average, but effort cost average in the hive.
Yeah.
Keep showing up no matter what, even if it's down to 10 cents again. Who cares? Um, you know.
We've said it a number of times. The best way to dollar cost average is add tokens that cost you zero. I mean, they cost you effort and time, but there's no dollar or no money involved in it.
Exactly.
So it just really improves your DCA.
Yep, for sure. Chris is up. He said, what is Celsius? We're definitely in a bear market, so crypto prices started to nosedive. However, Hive held out until these last couple of weeks. Is it just the mass selling of the token that causes the price to dip, or are there other factors involved as well? Can the activity or inactivity of Hive members cause the token price to fluctuate? And Brando28 actually answered Chris, with what is Celsius. It's the borrow and lending protocol. That's that's having a few issues, slightly, just a couple of issues. Uh, what do you think about the whole Celsius stuff, Task? Before we dive
I'm
into the
not.
Hive
I'll be
stuff.
honest with you. I'm not all that familiar with that app in particular, but it's. And again, I wrote another article about this. It's not. It just shows third party counter risk. And you have to be very mindful of the platforms that you're dealing with because it adds another layer, another degree of risk. So, and I don't care whether it's Celsius or Coinbase. Belimo, I believe what it was, wrote a great article about centralized exchanges are for trading, not for storing your crypto. And that includes Coinbase, who, they maybe the attacks are a reach, and maybe they are okay. I don't know. I really haven't looked at the financials, so I don't know the stability of Coinbase. But at the end of the day, if there's a threat that you as a user, your tokens could make you a creditor in bankruptcy, you don't want to deal with that. Not your coins, not your keys, not your crypto. And yes, it's great to go for these high APRs and get a return on your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or whatever the token is, but you are now counting on the dependability and reliability, and you are adding a degree of risk because you're trusting the people behind Celsius or Binance or Coinbase or wherever. And, or Leo Finance for that matter, Cup Finance. I mean, there's the same degree of risk. Now, many of us tend to trust Cal and don't believe he'll rug pull, don't believe that there'll be bankruptcy, don't believe all that stuff. But there's always that potential, so you have to be careful. As for the high price, yes, the user base can provide stability. If people are actively buying the token because they have use case, i.e., they have to engage in the blockchain, then certainly that will hold up better than many other tokens that don't have that utility. Also, by more that is staked, the more resiliency overall the token has. But if that does reduce the amount in float, that could increase the volatility. So you could have major swings. But the more that is locked up and powered up, the better the stability for the ecosystem because that's Hive that's kind of locked away and going to be used for purposes other than just trying to drive the price to zero.
Yeah, I see this on Twitter a few times when people are talking about Hive. There's always people that are saying, "Oh, look at the users are going down. The users are going down." That happens every single time Hive isn't on a bull run, like all the time. That's nothing new. Oh, the users are leaving. The users are leaving. It's like, yeah, that happens when Hive is $3. Everyone loves Hive. When Hive is
Yeah.
30 cents, oh, all the users are leaving. It's stupidity. It's anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because your 50 cent post at 30 cents is worth $5 at $3, and everybody says, "Oh, look at all the
Right,
money I'm
exactly.
making." And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's you and I look at it is the number of Hive that's going in, or Hive power going into our account, and what is that going to be worth in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
Yeah.
I have that little placard at the end of every post. 2025. We're still only in 2022. Don't even think about shit till 2025.
Yeah. It's tough to sell that to people because they're so caught on the hype. But that's something you and I have been screaming. I mean, I've said I've got my 5 year plan. You saying 2025. I mean, give it time. Don't worry about the month to month here. Worry about the years invested, and it's a long term strategy. It's a long tail stuff. It's not immediate gratification. So
Everybody talks. Oh, I'd love to have Amazon stock at $5 when it came out in the early days, and now it's. I mean, before the split, it was over $3,000, and it's like, yeah, but would you have held the whole time? I mean, keep in mind that during the .com, Amazon ran up to over $100, and then it crashed down to $7. That's a 93% loss. Would you still have sat there holding it in 2000 or 2001, saying, I can't wait till this thing goes to 3,000? I mean, if you could, if you did, my hat's off to you. But that's the problem. Everybody says, "Oh, I wish I got in early." Well, guess what? You're in fucking early with Hive, but you got to ride the roller coasters.
Yep, really good point. Thank you for the question, Chris. Hope that helps. NFT BBG is up. He said, not sure if this is a question or kind of a personal reflection. Do you think it is normal for less than 11-month-old crypto enthusiasts not to be affected by the current FUD? I am thinking that perhaps the reason I think like this is because my stake is so small and I am not emotionally affected. In fact, if some analysts are correct that this downtrend will last until the end of the year, I am thankful and excited because by that time, I can have the funds to grow my stake in my selected tokens. So here's a guy that's been in it for, he says, 11 months, and he doesn't really care about the FUD. And he's asking, is that normal? No. Usually, no, that's very abnormal, and that's why you're part of Hive, why you're part of the CryptoManiacs. It's not. It's completely rare. The normal reaction is, oh, this is horrible. It's going to zero. I'm going to go and sell. That's usually what the attitude is.
I would say the time in crypto isn't really reflective of one's capability of handling it, because what's the experience in the markets? I mean, people who are experienced with the stock markets, okay, maybe you don't have the same degree of volatility unless you're dealing with like penny stocks or stuff like that. But the equity markets have bear and bull runs, and they could have 30-40% pullbacks, which for a stock is a huge move. And if somebody's used to that, then they're used to swings. Okay, maybe they're a little bigger and a little bit more fierce in crypto, but swings are swings, bear markets are bear markets. And as for FUD, I mean, I think it's part of your conditioning. Do you believe what the mainstream media is saying about most anything? Uh, it's how often have they been right? So if you understand cryptocurrency, even if you're relatively new, if you understand the technology or maybe understand where some things are going, you understand the long term perspective that John and I put forth, both from the business opportunity side of things, the business building side of things, the technical side of things, the underlying shift versus the establishment, then you could sit there, look at the FUD and saying these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. And the final piece is obviously this individual, new to crypto or not, understands that, hey, if the prices get beaten to shit, it's Warren Buffett's. Women get excited when their blouse is 30% off. Why don't we get excited when stocks are 30% off? Well, guess what? Some of your crypto is going to be 70, 80, maybe even 90% off. That's called the fire sale. So, yeah, some is going to go to zero. If Celsius had a token, that might be worth shit. But there's going to be a lot of stuff, and I'll use John's word, utility, utility, utility. That stuff that has utility, and there's development and there's building, and you see the Leo finances, you see the CTP team, you start to see Ragnarok, you start to see Splinterland, you start to see Speak Network. All of that has a team of people behind it of varying degrees who are building stuff. That's what's going to be the winners coming out of the bear, is the ones that are building. And it's the same thing in the equity market. I mean, Coinbase is kind of in both, but if Coinbase keeps building and expanding through the bear, they're going to come out fine.
Yep, good point. Obviously, this show is definitely highlighted by a lot of the questions and comments about what's going on in the market. I get it, totally understand. Here's one from Tokenized Society. It says, we hear a lot of people saying that they wish they had bought crypto back when it was cheap. It is cheap now, and we're seeing a lot of panic selling. What is up with that? It's so funny. I always say that it's like the complete opposite. You know what you're supposed to do, but it's like human habits to see green and they go. When it's red, sell, panic, panic, panic. it takes a different kind of beast to conquer this, because when you see red, you are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna panic, even though you know, like, what's changed? What has changed in Hive? Has Bitcoin changed from 6 months ago? Like, has the utility gone down or gone up, or what? Like, nothing's changed. So the price should be irrelevant to this stuff. But again, yeah,
I think that's why most people don't get ahead financially. They do what everybody does, which, Warren Buffett, you know, buy when there's blood in the street, even if it's your own. Um, when things are red, that's the time to be buying. Now, you have to choose your entry point, because there is also a saying about trying to catch falling knives. But that's where John said dollar cost averaging. If you're consistently buying, uh, on the AMA this past week, Neil talked about this. You can dollar cost average where every week I'm going to put $100 in, or whatever your number is. But there's also dollar cost averaging where, every 10 cent down in Hive, I'll buy more Hive, or every $1,000 decrease in the price of Bitcoin, I'll buy some of Bitcoin. You can have certain price levels. Okay, I'll buy Bitcoin at 20 grand. I'll buy Bitcoin at 18 grand. I'll buy Bitcoin at 15 grand. That's what you do, is you try to get some stuff. This is a great time to fill your bags on those projects you believe long term. So if you believe in Bitcoin, if you believe in Ethereum, if you believe in Hive, if you believe in Leo Finance, if you believe in Cardano, if you believe in whatever, then this is the time to add to your bags. As Tokenized said, everybody says, well, shit, Hive's $1.50. I wish I could have gotten in at 30 cents. Well, guess what? We've seen 30-cent Hive. Did you buy? Oh, no, it might go to 10 cents. Well, yeah, it might, and you might lose 67% on your money from when you buy, but, you know, you still have a bigger stake than you had before. And if you believe Hive will get back to $1 or $2 or $5 at some point, then it's not a big deal.
yep, good point. Thank you for the question, Tokenized, or the observation even. Cyber Crypto's up. You said, what new tech is emerging that we should keep an eye on, and that we shouldn't miss the opportunity before it's too late? What new tech, Mister Futurist Taskmaster?
Well, that's hard, because first off, most tech you can't get into, just the way the system works. That you really can't get into it until companies go public, and by then a lot of money's been made. I think cryptocurrency and blockchain are two technologies that have a great future. In terms of just like futurism or stuff like that, you have to look at the energy field. There's a lot of investment there. So, what are you going to see in possibly nuclear fusion over the next 20 years? What are you going to see with geothermal? What are we going to see with solar? Battery technology obviously is going to be very, very important. And those are things you can invest in today. And again, not as financial advice, but just there's a lot of companies out there doing stuff with batteries. So maybe that's something to look into. For me, my only stock holding really is Tesla, because I think they're a company that hits on a lot of points, but they certainly aren't the only ones. Then you can always look in the biotech field. There's a lot of stuff going on. That's a very risky field with a lot of alligators, because all of a sudden something's moving ahead, and then all of a sudden the trial doesn't work, and they just get knocked out of the water by the FDA or whatever. Look at problems. I mean, I think this Starlink technology is pretty amazing. I think what SpaceX is doing, even though I'm not really a space cadet, but the great thing about SpaceX and Blue Origin and all these companies, and Branson and his companies. The great thing about that with space is not so much the achievements in space; it's what comes out of that stuff that we can use here on Earth. You look at the last space race in the '60s and what we got out of that: satellite communications and lasers and all different types of things. So, that's That's what I think is most interesting. But I would look at energy, try to determine where that's going. Which, as I said, maybe you don't care what type of energy it is. Batteries are going to be important. Look at satellites and what's going on there. Um, Food, that's going to be an area of great concern going forward. Uh, it's just hard to tell. I can sit here and give you 10 things that I think are going to be great. And by 2030, guarantee 8 of them will go nowhere.
Well, I'm partial to the Starlink stuff just because I have my phone right here and it's telling me it's on its way. So it'll be
Well,
delivered here.
and hopefully you get it set up, and for your next call, there's no problems. But think of the utility that that gives you now, and people in the rural areas that wasn't there. I mean, we talk
Right.
about utility with crypto; it's the same thing everywhere. Starlink is providing utility to rural areas. It's a bit costly right now because it's such a new service, but it's a lot better than spending 4 days a week at Starbucks.
Well, it's a cost that I'm willing to pay. And it's not even the monthly is whatever. The monthly is a little bit more than I'd be paying in the city. It's the gear. Like you have to buy the satellite. You have to buy the physical gear and the router and stuff. That's what's costly. So
Yeah, but that's a one-time fee, and once you got it, you
yep,
got it.
yep, yep.
And you average that over if you have the service for 5 years. I mean, then it's like $10 a month. You don't give a shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Good point. And finally, not a lot of questions this week, and that's it's actually works out. So I don't destroy your guys' eardrums with the sounds of Starbucks here on a Friday morning. A gratitude mind says it is a bear market for now. What is your advice for hivers new and old, and why not to panic?
I mean, I can't offer any new insight, John, than what we've just beaten the hammer. I mean, it's always the same thing: show up, get involved, be consistent, comment, engage, consistently post quality content, use different applications, get involved in different things that interest you. If you're a Splinterlands person, get involved in Splinterlands. If you are involved in Splinterlands, go to Splinter Talk and talk about it. Use listeners, use Peak D. If you're into crypto or finance, go to Leo Finance. Do whatever you can to stand out. Go through the CTP training, and take a lot of that and evolve it to what is going on today, because a lot of that was put up before we had all these tribes, but it still has a wealth of material of what is your goal. Your goal is to stand out on the platform as a content creator. So the same thing people are doing on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook do here to try to stand out. And understand that there are no shortcuts. You have to do the work, you have to do it consistently, you have to show up, you have to comment consistently, you have to appear on the block trades and they call me Dan's posts numerous times before they even recognize your username, let alone will vote for you. And that's what it takes. And keep building your stake. And for some reason, in any tribe, the more stake you have, whether it's Leo, CTP, or high power, the more newer people think of you, or so you just move up the scale, and people start to follow you simply because you have more tokens. Well, keep building your stake and your influence.
I'll offer this too. Now might be a really good time if you're sitting there going, okay, well, I want to build during this bear market because I see that that's how a lot of people added to their stake. Hive was built through bear markets. We've survived them. We've thrived in them. I would suggest writing down, doing the little Hive goal thing that I do every week. Make a plan, make it, put it on paper. Literally, I want to get this in this tribe. I want to get this in this Hive power. I want to get this in the income token by this date, and then make a habit and a goal of every day working towards that. And it's going to start off slow. You might get 1 or 2 Hive a day, you might get 5 or 6 or 7 Leo a day or whatever, but you just keep building and you set that target, and that will keep you focused on what matters and not so much the stupid markets. I mean, don't, who cares? It's the price again. Even when it was $3, you and I were saying the exact same thing. Who cares? Don't worry about that. Worry about what you're doing every day. And I think if you're putting together some goals and working towards them, you're going to ignore the noise. You're totally going to ignore the noise. I know it's hard to ignore the noise with the Starbucks stuff going on, but you will ignore the noise and you'll focus on what you want to do. And when we get out of the bear market, you're going to be sitting there going, damn, look at everything I've accomplished. Well, you did it because you set goals and you just worked on it every single day for the next couple of months. So
It's like this, John. You're right. I mean, at $3, it's an interesting conversation piece to talk about $3 Hive. It's like we could sit and talk for hours about how the New England Patriots are orders of magnitude better than the Buffalo Bills. But see, that us talking about that for hours is not going to change the outcome of the game. And so the game still needs to be played. And you and I still need to go back and do what we do each day. But it's an interesting conversation piece. Realistic or unrealistic? $3 Hive, realistic, unrealistic? It's an interesting conversation piece. But at the end of the day, we have posts to make, we have comments to make, we have videos to shoot in and to edit and to get uploaded. That's just what we do. And a lot of that is, like you said, noise. Unless you're looking at buying or selling, who gives a shit about price? It doesn't matter. So my account's worth 100 grand. My account's worth 300 grand. My account's worth 10 grand. If I'm not selling, who cares? Now, obviously at some point I want it a lot higher because at some point I got to liquidate out, but that's not today. So whatever my account is worth today, doesn't matter. It's like saying, well, my house is worth $1 million. Who cares? Are you selling? No. Well, it doesn't really matter.
it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, when Splinterlands was at its peak, about this time last year, like it was just starting to go crazy. And I remember looking at my accounts back in August and stuff like that, and I had my cards were worth $1 million. Like that's what it said on the market. People are like, oh my gosh, you have so much. It's like no one's buying this stuff for $1 million. So I don't have $1 million worth of Splinterlands cards. Well, what's the real value?
And
it
even
doesn't
if
matter.
but it goes one step further. Even if it was, and even if you could liquidate for $1 million, who cares? You weren't selling.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not selling out, and now it's gone down. Who cares? You're not selling.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably added more cards. Now you have more cards now, I bet, than you did back then.
Oh,
You've
yeah, for sure.
Your holdings.
Yeah. And it's just you just that's the thing. Like, so the question was, what should new and old hivers do during this time?
Fill your bags. Build whatever you like.
Fill, do, create, curate, comment, engage, show up. If you don't have internet, damn it, go to your local Starbucks. They make a pretty good coffee, and it's relatively quiet now. There's 2 other people here, so you just got to get through the rush.
And if you do have some extra money, whatever your flavor is, if you like Splinterlands, if you're a big player in Splinterlands, I'm sure the Splinterlands cards are on sale now compared to where they were a year ago. You can pick up some gold foil stuff. You can pick up whatever you like on the cheap. If you like Hive, John and I always say that's your starting point. So if you're new, focus on high power, build that up, get yourself to 100, then 250, then 500, then 1,000. Yep. If you want to partake in CTP, go in there, or Leo, whatever you like, just set the goal of I'm going to fill my bags with these 3 or 4 tokens. 3 or 4 tokens is plenty to focus upon. So, you do that through activity. If you have some extra fiat, you use that to buy it. If you get some other tokens that fit outside of what you like, maybe you sell them and you buy the CTP or the listeners or whatever you like. And you keep filling your bags and you keep doing that. And then what happens? The bull market hits. And all of a sudden you start to see the price 10x and you're like, oh my God, look at how much my account's worth.
Then you're magically the smartest guy in the room, right? like magically
Yeah,
that
yeah,
happens. You know.
yeah. I mean, it's I get a lot smarter during the bull runs than the bear markets. I mean, during the bear markets, it's like,
I should
look
have
how
taken
much my
profits.
account.
You know.
I mean, I shared. I woke up. I went to bed one night during the bull run.
Mm,
It was when Hive got to like 360 or something, and Bitcoin was over 60 grand. Ethereum was like near 4 grand or whatever.
yeah.
I had over $1 million in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
By the time I woke up the next morning, I was no longer a millionaire, and I think it's gone down since then. But here's
Mm,
the thing, John.
yeah.
I remember one day I was out in January of 2018. I went to coffee with a coworker, and I had an app that was designed by a guy who was on Steam, and I showed him my account. And what it was just a little app that you enter in how many you have of each token, then it pulled the feed off CoinGecko or whatever, and
Right.
just told you how much what you had. And if you added more Steam at that time, you just added 500 to your total, and then it figured it all out. Or if you add a little more Bitcoin, and I showed up. So at the peak, or right around the peak in January 2018, I had 180,000. The peak this time was over a million.
Yeah.
The peak next time, bull run, maybe it'll be 2.5, maybe it'll be 5 million. Who the hell knows? You had
Yep.
$1 million in Splinterlands cards. Well, guess what? Next time, since you're active, you're adding, you're buying, you're doing your everything, you're still involved. It may be that you're sitting on 2.5 million or 3 million in Splinterlands cards the next bull run.
Yep.
Who knows?
Just don't listen to the noise. Show up. Keep creating. So, um, guys, thank you for coming. Again, a little short and sweet one, but I think that works out because, yeah, this is. I pray for me, Task, because after this, I've got to edit everything on this laptop in and then upload it to Hive on the Starbucks connection.
You want to know my
Yeah,
suggestion?
yeah,
Just put the jingle at the beginning and upload. There's your
yeah,
editing.
yeah.
I
There you
think
go.
it went
Yeah,
fine. The noise wasn't too bad, and
yeah.
the background noise didn't overwhelm and make it so we couldn't hear what you said. So
Mm.
I wouldn't worry about going through the whole thing. Just
It's exciting. It just shows the dedication that we have. I want to highlight that to people. We're trying to lead by example here, guys. You know, yeah. Just do as we do, not as we say, or both.
I'd take a smarter approach. I'd put the fucking jingle on there and upload. Done. Done.
Welcome to the CryptoManiacs podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye. Yep.
Well, no, I'd have
Yes,
I
have the
have the
content. Right.
show
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
wouldn't just upload the damn intro and that's it.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming. Apologies for the Vim people that were watching. I didn't see it because I don't have the proper login credentials for Vim on this computer. If you're watching on Vim, apologize, but we'll get it uploaded to 3Speak. So thank you guys for coming, listening, tuning in, and have a fantastic weekend. Toodles.
Ciao.